Since I got into high ticket sales back in 2019, I've been working 7 days a week, basically every single week for the last 5 years. Okay, I can probably count the number of days off that I've taken with my hand. All right, when I first got started, it was a lot of outbound. I'm calling up purchasers, someone who spent 30 bucks on something and I'm upselling them. I've gone through phases where I'm taking 20, 25 inbound book calls every single day where I'm showing up at this office at 8 a.m. and I'm leaving at 10 p.m. Okay, I've worked on offers that are spending north of 100 grand every single month just on their marketing. Okay, and I've gone through these phases for years. All right, I've sold on 14 different offers. I've worked with high ticket, low ticket, B2B, B2C. And in this time, I've probably taken well over 10,000 sales calls. The total is actually about like 13, 14,000, but 10,000 is just better for the YouTube title. And in this timeline, I've picked up on trends, not only in my own sales calls, but also with all the closers that I work with personally. I picked up on trends in terms of what works and what doesn't. And in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you the three biggest strategies that I see get closers to $10,000 a month consistently. Okay, and stick around for the last one. I'm gonna give you guys some free bonuses, some free goodies that you can get to instantly start seeing an effect on your commissions. All right, so let's dive right the fuck in. First things first is your intention, okay? It's your general sales approach. The thing is, most people, they have a resistance to sales. And the reason why people are defensive around salespeople, it's because of their intention. When you walk into a car dealership, you know that someone's trying to sell you. You know that the dude walking up to you with the big smile and sticking out his hand, like, you know he's trying to sell you some shit. So you're a little bit resistant to it, right? And that's the thing, is most salespeople, they think of themselves first. They think, how can I get something from this person? How can I close this person so that I can get paid? And the thing is humans, we're very naturally attuned to that stuff. Like we can tell when someone is being fake. We can tell when someone's intentions are off, even on a subconscious level, right? And that's where most salespeople get the, I want to think about it, or I want to talk to my wife, or send me a fucking email and I'll hit you back in a few months, right? These smokescreen objections, they come from this fundamental lack of trust in salespeople. Okay, you don't want to be a salesperson, you want to be a closer. First strategy that I'm going to share with you is your general sales approach. Okay, and it's an acronym called HILA. Okay, I got this from Eli Wild, Tony Robbins' #1 all-time closer. He's done about 100 million in revenue for him. Okay, and HILA, it stands for high intention, low attachment, right? So what that means is, on your sales calls, you need to have the highest intention to help your prospect. You have to be on these calls and make it, for the 45 minutes that you're on the phone, you have to make it your life's mission to help this person make the transformation that they're trying to make. But at the same time, you know, with that high attention, you have to have low attachment to the outcome of the sale. Okay, so what that means is, you know, it's caring about your prospects so much that you're willing to call them out on some bullshit out of love, right? Being willing to call them out on the limiting beliefs that they've had that have held them back up until this point. Being able to see them achieving their goals and to believe in them more than they believe in themselves, right? The thing is, you cannot fake this. Okay, this cannot be faked, but it all starts with your intention. When you come from this base of, hey, I want to help this person make the transformation, not, I want to try to sell this guy some shit, but I want to help this person make the change that he's trying to make. When you start with that, whatever framework, whatever script that you use, naturally it's going to come across in the right way. People are going to trust you more and you're going to close more deals. The thing is, in sales, it's a battle of conviction, right? So either you are going to have more conviction in your prospect needing to take action, or your prospect is going to have more conviction in their limiting beliefs and, you know, their objection that they're giving you. Okay, and when you have this strong sense of mission over commission, when you have the strong sense of, wow, I'm talking to someone who's the perfect fit for what we're doing, I've seen all the results that are on the inside. If I don't help this person overcome whatever problems they're facing right now, like, I am doing this person a disservice, right? When you come from that deep conviction, you're gonna win every single time. Let's move into number 2, and it's personal development, okay? Something that I want you to understand is, as a closer, as a salesperson, your commissions and your income is directly correlated to the level of personal development that you undertake, okay? A question that I want you to ask yourself is, think about your goals for a second. Okay, think about, what is your goal? Like, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. How much do you want to be bringing in? A month, a year? Let's say you want to make 20 grand a month. Ask yourself this question. I asked myself this question probably like my first few months into sales, and it completely changed my life. I asked myself, what would the version of myself that's making $20,000 a month do? Right? What are the habits of that person? What does that person's day-to-day look like? Okay, how are they operating on the phones? What are they doing outside of sales? What are the things that they're not doing that I'm currently doing? Okay, what happened is I really asked myself that question, and all of a sudden everything started to change around me, right? I started to step into the type of person that I needed to be to go and see that type of result, right? I cut out all of the negative bullshit that I was doing at the time, right? Friends, vices, other nonsense. I started adding in reading, right? A consistent workout routine. I started learning new things. I started putting myself out there, right? I thought, okay, like how does that version of myself, how does he carry himself, right? What does his posture look like? What does his facial expressions look like? Who are the people that he surrounds himself with, right? I sat down with a piece of paper. I wrote every single thing down. I really described and visualized that version of myself. And then the next day, I just started doing those things. And then what happens is you pull that version of yourself into reality and the results start coming. Okay. The other side of this is that back to what I was saying earlier, right? Sales is a transfer of conviction and certainty, right? You aren't selling a product, a service. You're not selling any of that. What you're selling is the change that your prospect is trying to make, right? Helping them go from where they currently are to where they want to be. Okay. For you to be able to transfer that conviction that, hey, we can help you get there, right? For you to be able to do that, you have to make that transformation yourself, right? Like imagine thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get into high ticket and I'm going to sell people expensive shit. I'm going to get them to step out of their comfort zone, take massive action, take risks, step into the highest version of themselves. Imagine thinking that you're going to influence people to do that without doing that at like 3 times the level that you ask your prospects to do it. Right? This is why I outclose everybody in my office, is because I've been on this journey of personal development for the last 5 years that's just been fucking compounding nonstop, where me, someone who came in with less talent than most people, I've been able to beat everybody who used to be at the top of the leaderboard, right? And it's because of the personal development. Make the transformation that your prospect is trying to make, and then get on the call and then just help them do it. Right? Just be like, hey, like I get where you're at. Like I remember when I was first getting into the space, like I used to have this limiting belief that it sounds like you have right now, where you feel like X and Y and it's frustrating. And I get that because I've literally been there before. But then here's what happened. I just made this shift that allowed me to do X, and now I'm in a position where Y. Right? So all you got to do, man, is do this, right? And it's coming from a place of I've actually done it before rather than faking or bullshitting it, right? So what I'd recommend that you do after this video, pull out that piece of paper, right? Figure out whatever your goal is, right? No matter how big or how small, write that thing down and think about the version of yourself that you need to become to see that result. Think about the actions and the day-to-day, the micro things that person does, and just start fucking doing them, okay? And like literally within a month, you're gonna start seeing some type of result. You're gonna get excited about it. You're gonna get that upward spiral where you just keep personal developing, you keep learning, you keep making more money, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, you're exactly where you want it to be. All right, guys, number 3 is gonna be intentional growth. Here's the thing, most salespeople, they do the exact same thing every single day, every single month, every single year, and then they just expect to like naturally get better. They think that with time in the game, they're gonna get better at sales. And the thing is, it's very far from the truth. The reality is in sales, every single year that I've been in it, I have made more money than the previous year. And if you're not doing that, there's a serious problem. Okay, your income is directly correlated to your skill set and your ability to do one single thing and have one single conversation. Okay, if you don't figure out how to master that conversation, if you don't figure out how to make incremental improvements to that conversation every week, every month, every year, you're just gonna get stuck in the same spot and you're never gonna be able to make the kind of commissions that's gonna give you the freedom that you want, right? And the thing is when you just get really intentional about it, because nobody does this shit. If you can just get really intentional about your growth, you take 5 minutes every single day to go through some of the stuff that I'm gonna share with you, this is instantly just gonna put you ahead of everybody on your sales team in a single month. You do this stuff, you compound it out over the course of a year, okay, this is where lives get changed. Okay, so let's dive right the fuck in. 3 things, all right? Number 1 is the micro. Okay, how do you look at your day-to-day? How do you look at your call to actually make adjustments? I'm gonna talk about the macro. How do you look at like your larger numbers, trends, stats? so that you can make bigger adjustments. And then how can you use all of this information to actually change what's happening on your sales calls? Okay, cool. So first things first is your daily tracking sheet. Okay, so this right here is what you're going to be using. This is something that you need to be filling out on a day-to-day basis. So every single day you start here, right? It's September 4th when we're filming this video. Let's say your goal is 10K in sales. Let's say you have 6 booked calls. Okay. Really important at the start of your day, write down a couple notes. This is usually based off of how the week is going, based on what you ran into yesterday. But let's say you just watched this YouTube video and you're starting your next sales day. So your first intention is high intention, low attachment. Let's say redial all no shows from yesterday. Let's say have fun on calls, right? Whatever, keep it chill, set the intention for the day, set a couple big points that are going to be important, get your day started. What you're going to do here, okay, is every single lead that you speak to, you're going to write them down. You're going to write down their name, okay? Sally, Bob, Joe, Jim, Susie, right? And the thing is as we're going through this, okay, as you're going through your sales day, you're going to write down here, and this is really important, is the reason for why you closed the deal or the reason why you didn't close the deal. Okay, a lot of salespeople, they'll send me their notes on a sales call, and it's like all of this information of like, oh, she works this job and this is what's going on in her life and these are the details and blah, blah, blah. None of that matters for this, okay? All we're trying to focus on is why did we close and why did we not close? That way we can replicate the things that are working and we can stop doing the things that aren't working. So let's say Sally, we pitch her, think about it, objection, and it's a trust thing, right? This is where it's really important to be able to analyze your calls properly. You need to be able to get an objection, finish up a call, and be able to look at it and say, okay, hey, she was really intentional, like she was really adamant on wanting to think about it. Didn't really feel like there was a connection there the entire call. It seems like trust was a problem. Okay, cool. Let's say Bob, broke, not qualified. Let's say Joe, we closed, related early, great report, right? Let's say Jim, bad experience in the past, following up, nurture, sequence, right? And let's say, Susie was a no-show, right? So this is how we're gonna look at it. And guys, this might seem boring to you, but like this is what the fucking winners do, okay? This is how you make $250,000, $500,000 a year in sales, is by doing the boring spreadsheet shit, okay? So every missed opportunity, we're gonna mark as yellow, okay? So a missed opportunity is a deal that could have been closed, but wasn't for whatever reason, okay? Not qualified, we don't care about. It doesn't matter. You can't close people that aren't qualified. You can't close people that aren't a good fit for what you do and have, $0 in their bank account, right? No show, we don't care about. Green, right? We closed. So all we're looking at here is the yellows. All we're looking at are these 2 calls that I missed here. What could I have changed to potentially close those deals? Right? We're noticing a trend here. This person wanted to think about it. There wasn't really that connection. This person had a bad experience in the past, right? So because of that, they were hesitant to move forward. They weren't totally sure. They wanted some more value sent over to them. Also a trust objection, right? So, okay, cool. We're going to keep that in mind. At the end of the day, right? End of day positives. Let's say Joe related early, told a story relating to his pain that he loved, right? Great, boom. Maybe there was like a story that I told that just really connected and just like really worked well. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna note that story down. That story is the reason why I closed this deal. It's the reason why I built a great connection with this guy and the reason why he gave me 10 G's at the end of the call, okay? End of day adjustments, right? Trust. How can we build better trust? Maybe it's, in this case, I don't know, there's a couple things to keep in mind, but let's say, trust, build better trust, Give, realistic expectations, get vulnerable earlier in conversation to show I'm a human being, not a shitty salesperson. Okay, maybe that's your end of the adjustment, right, guys? This is what I was doing every single day. Okay, when I was taking 15, 20 sales calls a day, it's like in middle of the day, it's a blur. You have no idea what's going on, right? You're maybe throwing down a note or two into the spreadsheet, but at the end of the day, after you've taken your 20 sales calls and you just look at this sheet, it's like, okay, maybe you've had a 0 day, right? But if there's one objection that you got 3 times in a row, then it's like, okay, that this was the objection, this was the underlying problem, and this is what I could have done to prevent that from happening. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make sure that I do this to prevent that from happening. Therefore, I should be able to close at least 1 or 2 of the 3 that I missed today. And this is how you see 1% growth every single day, guys, is by taking this shit seriously. On the side right here, you're gonna fill out all of your other stats, right? So 6 book calls, let's say 5 showed up. Out of the 5, it was 1 out of 5 that closed. Total sales, was 10K. This is IB is inbound. Outbound dials, right? So this would be, any extra dials, any extra opt-ins that you're doing. This is important to track as well, right? A lot of people get lazy and they don't do this, but this is what separates the winners from the losers, is the outbound dials, the hustling, the grinding, right? So let's say you did 100, 10 picked up, 0 closed, 0 sales for that day, right? Total talk time, right? You're going to go into your CRM, into whatever your application is, track this. Okay, there's a lot of salespeople that say, yeah, I work 10 hours a day, but they only spend 2 hours a day on the phone, right? This tells you how productive you actually were. So let's say, it was 300 minutes on the phone. Okay, great. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? You do this every single day, you're going to be able to make, small intentional improvements day by day. But where it gets interesting, you can do one of 2 things, okay? You can either do some like Excel magic and format these stats into your big spreadsheet. Or what I do is I have a VA. I pay someone like a few bucks an hour out in the Philippines. She works for me like 10 hours a week, and she fills out all of these stats for me, right? So she'll go into this sheet, she'll get all these stats, great, and then she'll input them into this big spreadsheet, right? I think it's probably a good idea to do it on your own, just so that you're really in tune with your stats. But yeah, I mean, you can pay like $400 or $500 a month for someone to do this for you if you want. Okay, now this is the big spreadsheet. Okay, what we have here is we're looking at quarterly stats, we're looking at monthly stats, and we're looking at weekly stats. Okay, this is where you see big trends. This is where you see big areas of improvement. Okay, so this is more of, right here, you're more tracking like qualitative, meaning you're tracking the quality of your sales calls and what's actually happening on your phone. With your KPIs, you're tracking the quantitative data, where you're looking at the numbers themselves and you're making adjustments, right? So, let's say you have a bunch of numbers here: book calls, show up rate, close rate. Maybe, I don't know, you go through a fucking breakup and you get your heart broken and your close rate just tanks, right? And we see that it's a trend. Over 3 weeks, your close rate is lower than before, right? Okay, now we can go and make an adjustment to it. The thing is as you track numbers on larger time frames, that the data is more accurate. So if there was like 1 week where your close rate was low, it's like, okay, it's not a huge deal, just bounce back. If there's a month where your close rate is low, okay, this is a bigger problem. If there's a full quarter, right, which is a 3-month time span, if there's a full quarter where your close rate is low, that's an issue. Right? If you look at, you might even see something like, okay, outbound dials, right? Maybe during 1 quarter, like you were really going hard on the outbound and you did, 10,000 outbound calls over 3 months, and you see the total sales that you had, right? And then the next month you do 2,000 outbound calls and it's significantly lower, right? So I can go on and on about this, but keynote is just step 1, just start tracking it, right? Step 1 is set the stuff up. I'm going to copy and paste this sheet. It's going to be in the description down below. Just jump in here, find the make a copy button, And then you can use this exact template and this exact spreadsheet on your calls starting tomorrow. So set this up, start tracking your numbers. As you build up your numbers and your data, you're gonna be able to start making intentional improvements to what you're doing. Just by tracking it alone, instantly that's gonna make an adjustment, okay? Now, finally, I mean, one last thing that I'll share with you guys here, which you definitely should be doing, is listening to your call recordings, okay? There's two ways to go about doing this, right? So I usually like to do this on a weekly basis with all of my closers, but you should be doing this with yourself, right? Like, you shouldn't need a manager to go and listen to your call recordings and tell you what to fix. Like, you should be able to hold yourself accountable, realize that you're working in the best profession in the world, realize that, hey, if I just get better at this call, I can make all the money that I want, and you should be able to go and do this on your own, right? Listen, I get it. Sometimes it's not comfortable to listen to calls, especially when they go bad, but force yourself to do it. Make a weekly commitment, right? I like doing it on Sunday nights. Maybe you like Monday mornings. Put it in your calendar where for an hour, you listen to call recordings. I know a lot of closers, they'll start their day every single day and they will listen to deals that they've closed when they're in the gym or something, right? It's kind of crazy in my opinion, but a lot of people do that and those guys make a lot of money, right? So two things, and it's kind of back to what I was talking about earlier. When you're listening to your call recordings, you can look for things to stop doing that's holding you back, and then you can look for things to keep doing more of, right? So the thing is, success and failure both leaves clues. Set aside time in your schedule throughout the week where you're listening to your successes, you're listening to your failures, and that way you can note down, okay, hey, this is where I messed up. Hey, I didn't really like the way I sounded there. I don't like the way that I put that. Okay, hey, that story that I told there, they really like that. Hey, the way that I positioned our product right there, like that really hit my prospect there. Okay, just taking the fucking time, guys, to listen and track your shit intentionally is gonna set you apart from everybody else. Okay, so we spoke about three things here today, and one isn't gonna work without the other two. It has to be all three. Okay, number one is high intention, low attachment. Come into your calls with the right mindset, with the right approach, the right energy, okay, and that's gonna reciprocate with your prospects. Number two is the personal development. Okay, this is probably the most important thing. This is the personal development was how I came into this space with zero experience, zero confidence, zero charisma, all right? And through that personal development, I was able to turn into a top performer, earning multiple six figures at 23 years old. Okay, get serious about the personal development. Figure out, okay, what are my goals? The version of myself that is accomplishing those goals, what are they doing on a day-to-day basis? Start doing those things today. And finally, once you've done all of that, get serious. Treat your sales calls like a business. Track your numbers, okay? Treat yourself like an athlete, however you wanna put it. Do everything that I just shared with you. Use the spreadsheet that I've linked down below in the Google Drive and start applying this stuff, okay? Guys, these changes aren't gonna help you overnight. They're not gonna change much overnight, but do it for a month straight. Do it for a year straight. Okay, and drop a comment down below here when you fucking blow up your commission checks and you start making more money than you would have ever imagined. All right, I figured out all this stuff, guys, over, at this point, half a decade working in this space through trial and error, figuring it out on my own. Okay, I had my mentor, my partner, Dylan, who paved the way for me and cut a lot of the learning curve. But that's really my goal here with this channel, is just to share with you exactly what has learned and exactly how I was able to accomplish what I've accomplished so that you guys can go and accomplish it and more in less time. Guys, if you got value from this, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know once you start making more money with this stuff, and I will see you guys on the next one. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's end this year strong. I'll see you there. Peace.